Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls and Brew.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know podcasting network. I am your affable host. My name is Rod Morgan. Thank you so very much for choosing to spend some of your audio and visual time, possibly. Thank you to our ace producer, who I'm about to bring in here in just a second, for reminding me that we do have folks who might be joining us live on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends, send this along to other folks, because the way that this works is if we can get a whole lot of people starting to watch and listen to us, then we move up, and then you can feel important for listening to a great podcast like us. That's how these podcasts work, folks. All right, let me bring in the folks who I have along with me to make this entertainment gold. Joining me is someone that, quite frankly, I would have been lifelong friends with, other than the fact that we did not know each other in kindergarten, first and second grade. It is my man, the host of the Yeah We Know In the Ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris Wrestling podcast, the executive producer of this podcast and every other podcast on this network, and the co-host of Balls and Brew. The man wears many hats. He has three names. It's James Thomas Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Balls and Brew. I'm excited. We've had a huge NFL season, and we've got some basketball to talk about, too, so I'm very excited about that, Rod.
You can see the glimmer in Jimmy's eye because he gets to host the basketball show. So he is excited for the fact that football is winding now, because now it will be the time of the year where Jimmy actually hosts two podcasts on the network and I host one. And it should be the Jamriska You Know podcasting network and not the Morgan You Know. Jimmy loves that time of year.
It's fine.
Yeah. Joining us, as always, our guy. He's here with us on Balls and Brew. He's here with us on wrestling. He even joins us and gives some insane pop culture takes every once in a while on the Morgan You Know. I've known him not as long as Jimmy, but it feels like I've known him that long because he's incredibly old. It's our guy, formerly from North Carolina, Pittsburgh, and now back in Indiana, Christopher Eugene King. Chris, hello.
What is up, fellas? Let's just get this out of the way. A little bit of a somber note. Let's give a thoughts and prayers and to everybody who was affected by the shooting at the parade in Kansas City. Pretty despicable and outrageous. I mean, you cancel schools, let kids to be able to go and celebrate with their families, and that's how it ends up.
Absolutely, Chris. That's a wonderful point, and I wanna just throw to the immediate other side of that. Did you guys happen to catch the other great footage of the mailman delivering the mail in and amongst all of the chaos when it was still just a party? Did any of you guys happen to see that?
We weren't looking for the mailman in particular on this one. There's only one mailman that we pay attention to. But hey, rain, sleet, snow, parades, let's go.
Exactly. I just loved it. The guy's wearing the little city blue uniform, so he's a different craft than myself, right? And you see all these people like drinking White Claws and just being completely hammered on front porches, and this dude just rolling up behind him with the mailbag, and he's just bam, 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 putting the mail in, going to the next mailbox, and there's thousands of people partying in the street. Sometimes you just have to do the work, and the man that does the work on this podcast, our football handicapper, the man making the bets, the man who makes us smarter. He's here in South Bend with me, sort of. I'm technically in Mishawaka. He's in South Bend, but we're really not that far apart from one another. It's Joshua Lee Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? I technically have a Mishawaka address. I don't know if you knew that.
Listen,
But-
I'm not great with geography or time zones. All right. I'm only good at talking and hosting a podcast. And then when I try to branch out, you guys are quick to call me on it. And that's why I appreciate it.
Man, I try to make you guys smarter. The only thing I got right last week was that Kansas City was going to sneak out a win, but all my prop bets faltered, my long shots, the belldozer. I was so pumped about the belldozer, 31-1. And the Chiefs really never had the ball at the 1 inch line or 1 yard line. So that ain't coming into effect. But man, you try to
for whom the bell did not toll, if you will.
Oh, you try to get creative with this, and it's really just, and the Chiefs are a tough team for me because, I like to be contrarian, but this is getting to the point where it's just, you kind of don't really.
All right, hold it. We'll get to that. We'll get to Chiefs Dynasty talk when we start to recap the game. All right. But what I want to ask you right here off the top, are you excited or somber right now about the fact that like your weekly podcasting journey is going to take a bit of a break here, right? Like this is probably your last appearance until we get to the NCAA tournament. Are you happy about that, or are you somber that you don't get to chop it up with me and Chris and Jimmy on Thursdays?
it's so sad, man. Like everyone texted me like, "Oh, it's a Super Bowl. What do you got going on at the Super Bowl?" I was like, it's so bittersweet for me, man. I'm so much more pumped in September. I got all the information flowing, and we're ready for all the 32 teams, and we're getting going. And that's what I love is Labor Day is my favorite weekend of the year, the holiday. Um, so yeah, this is a bit somber here. I love the Super Bowl, but that also means it's another 7 months until a meaningful
Jimmy,
football.
wait a minute. Does Jackson Jamriska have a hot Super Bowl take for us? Jackson Jamriska here in the background for folks not watching. Does Jackson have a hot Super Bowl take
Well,
for us?
first of
Jimmy?
all, on
Super Bowl
NBA
take.
2K24, he hit a full court shot after the buzzer. So what is your take on the Super Bowl? What's your hot take?
Come on, Jackson, give it to me.
We're live, kid.
Jimmy, you got to work on it.
This
You gotta work
dynamite
on it over there.
podcasting here, Jackson J. What's your hot take?
CMC didn't really have the best game.
CMC could have done a little bit better, did not have the best game.
That's why he's the best in
Interesting.
business. That's why he's the best in the
That is a
business.
seriously hot take considering he had 160 all-purpose yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Could have done more. Could have. Hey,
I love
he could have played
Jackson.
defense. Played defense, Jackson J said.
You know why I love Jackson? Because this basically his first appearance on this podcast, other than the wrestling show, he comes on and he antagonizes Chris immediately. I love
Chris is mad at you right now. He's just smiling. He's like, look, CMC could have done better. Okay,
That's great.
fumbled, could have done better. Sorry, Chris.
Jackson is the best. Jackson is the best. Appreciate him coming on with his hot take here. So we are going to chop up the Super Bowl, go over a couple of different angles, maybe even tackle the halftime show because I know I enjoyed myself during the halftime show. Maybe we'll even get there. But let's start with just the overall. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I basically had been telling you guys all year long that I'm just not going to bet against Kansas City, that you can tell me that they're this, that they're that their receivers hurt. But when it comes down to the bottom line, Patrick Mahomes has shown himself to be that guy. And if he has a coach like Andy Reid that's going to put him in position and he has a good enough team to not hurt him, which that team did in the Super Bowl, and then he has the kind of defense that Kansas City seems to be getting together, Jimmy, if I was everybody in the AFC, I'd still be a little bit terrified. How about you?
Exactly, because he did this year with subpar pass catchers, including Kelsey, because Kelsey didn't have the best year either. Obviously, had some big games in there. Just think what they could do if they go out and sign a couple of really good receivers there, keep that defense where it needs to be. Listen, they're going to be dangerous for years and years to come. It's going to be a tough division there for anyone to get out of. Never bet against the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, as Colts supporters like we are, right? We're excited about Anthony Richardson coming back next year. You're a Herbert guy. Excuse me, you're not a Herbert guy. You're a Burrow guy, right? There's a lot of good football teams in the AFC, but doesn't it kind of seem like Patrick Mahomes has to be on top of the mountain until somebody knocks him off, right?
I mean, this is essentially what they're already talking about, Rod. Is this Tom Brady 2.0? Is this another long-term dynasty that we're going to see go beyond this? They're building a defense that can withstand the ups and downs of the offense. We saw that this year. All right. That is a staple of what New England did, especially in those lean years in the late aughts. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's looking tough. If you're an AFC team and as a Colts fan, you're upset, right? You spent how many years languishing behind New England, fighting to conquer that mountain? New England just ended a few years ago, and now all of a sudden we got Kansas City ever since.
All right, Williams, you have our layman's takes, right? You know, me, Jimmy, and Chris, we're a little better than the average guy on the NFL because we get to work with you weekly, but you're our handicapper here. You're our guy. How do you see the game coming down?
I mean, as for the Chiefs for the whole year, you guys are right. The offense really wasn't that good, and so it's super scary for the rest of the AFC. And Spagnuolo just signed an extension. I know he's 64, but to have that good a defensive coordinator and know that you're going to stay with that team for the next 4 to 5 years, and who knows, Andy Reid could be another 4 to 5 years. It's really scary for the rest of the AFC. But yeah, I thought the play of the game, ironically, was special teams.
Hey, wait a minute, Williams, hold off on that
Okay,
real quick, because
yeah,
you
go
just
ahead.
made me think of something else. I'm sorry, Jimmy, I want to go to you on this. What do you think Philadelphia Eagles fans are feeling right now, right? Do you think they're a little bummed out that they kind of ran Andy out of town, or do you think that they write this off as more about Patrick Mahomes and not necessarily about Andy? I did have that thought to myself after seeing Andy celebrate yet again. Oh, no, Jimmy. Jimmy's on mute. Jimmy, you're on mute.
You did the rod today. Listen, I'm trying to do a few things here, but I do want to talk about our viewers. If you have any comments about Andy Reid, Super Bowl at all, anything you want to put in, throw it in the chat. We'll talk about it for sure. But Rod, I think the Eagles, they got their Super Bowl. I believe they beat a team in New England. They did get their Super Bowl with that. It's about coach quarterback combination. It really is, I think, in this point. But yeah, Andy Reid, I think it helped with Patrick Mahomes a lot.
Chris, I want to go to you on this because you're our coach guy, right? You give Belichick absolutely no credit. So I think you probably think I'm crazy for thinking Andy Reid has anything to do with this, right?
Andy Reid has won with multiple different quarterbacks out there, and now he's won 2 different Super Bowls with different quarterbacks. It's something that Belichick hasn't done. All right, that's one thing I hold against Belichick. I mean, if Andy Reid is the type of coach that is going to surround him with the best coaches available, from the defensive line coach all the way up to the coordinator, same way with the offense. Like, it's not only that he is so great at his job, he surrounds himself with the best people, and he keeps doing that wherever he goes.
Yeah, Williams, I'm sorry to stop you there, man, but I think it's interesting to talk about Andy Reid, right? Because also they have a very good special teams coordinator there in Kansas City, right? You know, they have Matt Nagy, who sure he has a bit of a checkered resume, but there's a guy who's been an offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl team, a guy who's been a head coach. You know what I mean? Like, this is clearly a pretty good coaching staff. But I'm going to throw it back to you, Williams. Is it the coaching staff, or does it all just boil down to number 15?
I mean, that's the thing, is that Mahomes is awesome, and then you add Reed and Spags on top of that. So it's a pretty lethal combination. And what we didn't touch on last week is that special teams was probably going to be a huge deal, and Kansas City had a massive advantage of that going into the game. But actually, the Niners special teams was really fantastic last week until it wasn't.
Oh, when
And
Moody hit that first kick, I couldn't believe it. Like, we all thought Moody was going to totally shake that first kick, didn't we?
How about he sets the record for the longest field goal ever, and then Butker comes in behind and sets it in
Like,
the
no,
same
no.
game. That's unbelievable.
A true hold my beer moment, if there ever was one.
There we
Right.
go.
I do feel bad for Moody, though. That extra point blocked, probably the difference in the game. I don't really know why he kicked that so low. His
Why?
extra point
See, here's the
should
thing.
be
I hate this. Why is it his fault? Block.
He's the one, because it goes in the scorebook as he missed the PAT. Jimmy,
I know,
all right?
but
nowhere in the scorebook does it even have the center's name. Can you tell me the center's name?
Yes. In a minute.
Yeah. Well, normally I'm with Jimmy, but like, if you look at the trajectory of the ball, like, it was so low. I don't get why it was so low. But I don't know. I mean, I still think the play of the game was the muff punt, and it really wasn't even a muff punt. It was just the guy who didn't get up there.
No, I don't think there's any question, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That was the easiest touchdown either team was given all game. Kansas City only had to go 14 yards, and they threw it on the first play.
People forget the Niners D had shut down Kansas City for basically 40 minutes of that game with 6 points. And then when you hand Mahomes that short of field and get him going, I mean, that's when you kind of thought, man, the Niners missed an opportunity there. Did everybody think that after the first quarter, after the first half, that it felt like the Niners were winning by like 2 touchdowns at least? And you look up.
I thought we were going to have to come on here and say all praise to Kyle Shanahan. Williams, you've been right. He finally got his. Like, I totally thought that's where we were going. And then Usher came on and everything got changed.
Everything got real sweaty.
That makes me nervous,
Awkward.
though, because when a team goes into halftime and they are what seems to be playing at a much higher level, should be up by 14 to 17 points. Instead, they're only up by 7. You start to think this isn't a good scenario for that team.
That
happens all the time.
Jimmy, let's stay with coaching then. Shanahan gets the reputation of being a bit too conservative. Do you think he was a little too conservative in that first half and wasn't chasing points the way Chris is talking about here?
It seems like they didn't listen. I know they ran the ball pretty well, but it seems like there was a point there where they gave up the run, and they could have run all day on him. I don't understand why you have to continue going to the pass. Purdy did fine. I know Jackson thinks he's overrated, but I thought Purdy had a decent game overall. But keep going back to that run. I'm not sure really what happened there.
Williams, your boy, what do you think? I mean, do you think he was too conservative? What do you think happened here?
The first 3 drives of the second half, that's where you can get on Shanahan, because Jimmy's right. They came out and they actually they called for about 9 straight pass plays. I know one of those ended up being a quarterback run, but you got to go back to running the ball there, especially after that turnover where Mahomes never throws a pick. I gave out that awesome prop bet last week to Mahomes not throw a pick. He comes out in the third quarter, throws a pick, but you have to punish them there. But to give Shanahan credit, I thought there was no way that they were going to go for it on that fourth down there, and I thought they were just going to try to get Kansas City offsides. They ended up hiking it. They ended up getting it. So I feel like Shanahan knows that you have to be aggressive against Mahomes. I could not believe that they hiked it there, just knowing what we know from him over the years. But
Let's talk
Chris,
about this because he brought up aggressiveness against Mahomes, and I think this is what really led to the downfall. And this is in the overtime on that last drive when the San Francisco defense decided to start playing that soft nickel zone almost that whole drive. That's not anywhere near being aggressive against Mahomes, and I think that is what really caused their ultimate downfall.
Well, let's go to overtime. I love that you brought up overtime there, Chris. Let's just start at the beginning of overtime, and then we'll get into your point there. Do you think that Shanahan made a mistake by taking the ball? Because, I mean, that's certainly been an awful lot of conversation here, Jimmy. So do you think that taking the ball is a bad strategy with the new rules?
I'm fine with it. I think that their defense had been on the field for a while. They just gave up that big play to Mahomes. I'd say I'm okay with that part of it. Other things in overtime I wasn't, but I'm okay with that.
Chris, how about you? You taking the ball or you kicking it?
Overtime, I don't care what the rules are. I'm going to take the ball first.
Wow.
I want the offense out there. I'm going to eat up as much clock as I can. I'm going to march it down their throats until I get a touchdown.
See, I like that strategy, but I think I heard Ryan Russillo, and shout out to our guy, the single weightlifter, right? Life advice himself, Ryan Russillo. He said that, yes, that's great. Go down, punish him, score a touchdown, but you almost got to play the overtime rules that they have now in the playoffs like a college football game, right? Where you go and tell me what you're going to do, and then that allows me to play differently because I know what you're going to do, right? Like essentially if the Niners scored a touchdown or even a field goal, Kansas City's basically playing 4 downs every time, right? And wouldn't it have been more beneficial for San Francisco to be that team? Williams, you're our handicapper. Where do you come down on the strategy of the ball, take it or not at the start of the new overtime?
Yeah, I get both sides, and I feel like he got massively chastised for taking the ball first. But like Jimmy said, he wanted to rest the defense. His thinking was he wanted that third possession to be the deciding factor. And so if you go down, kick a field goal, the other team kicks a field goal, the next score wins. Same thing if they don't score at all, next score wins. Same thing if touchdown, next score wins. But the problem with that is that if you take the ball first, Kansas City and Mahomes has those 4 downs. And it's tough to beat Mahomes on 3 downs. Now you're giving him 4. And then it comes out afterwards. And they could just be saying this because they won the game, but they were saying that, hey, if we score that second touchdown and say San Fran scores a touchdown first, we go down and pair them, match them with that second touchdown. We're going for 2. We're not giving them the ball on the third touchdown. So now this blows the other 30 teams that are going to play in the playoffs from here on out. This blows their mind because they're like, now what do we do? Now do we take the ball first or we kick it off?
Let's stay with that for a second. I had this thought. I didn't hear this brought up, Williams. Let me ask you this. Okay, if we are to believe that having the ball for that third possession is what Shanahan was playing on, do you think maybe they should have been playing a little more pace for that first possession? Because that's kind of my question, right? Like if you're sort of already assuming that the Chiefs are going to get the ball back and either tie me or, you know what I mean, and then I'm going to have my third possession. Don't you want to give yourself more time than they were maybe left with, right? Because by the time the Chiefs scored, that was another part. We all thought the game was going to run out, right? And Tony Romo and Jim Nance had to be like, calm down. It's fine. The clock can run out and they're still going to be able to run their play. So do you think Shanahan should have moved with more pace in the Niners' first possession?
No, because they would have had basically a 6th quarter. That like the time and the overtime doesn't really matter until you go to like the 6th quarter, say, and it goes into halftime and nobody has scored yet. So that time there really doesn't really matter. I know it probably confused a bunch of people, the casual fans. Had my mom was texting. My mom never texted me.
Thank you. You just called me a casual fan. I appreciate it, but it confused the hell out of me.
It's confusing. The playoff rules are confusing, and they should have talked about that more. So yeah, it's I feel like they're going to be talking about that for forever now, whether to take the ball or not in the playoffs. But at least now both teams have a shot at it, and I love the playoff rules now that you have to win on a touchdown, and then you have to stop the other guy.
I think
All
you
right.
got to take. I think you still got to take the ball first. I don't care if you're thinking or if you're really planning on having to use that third possession. You're hoping that you score a touchdown and your defense stops the other guys on 4 downs, right? You don't want to have to use that third possession, but in overtime, you have to plan ahead. And so, why wouldn't you take the ball first?
And of course, you're going to lean on defense, but I think on some level, Kyle Shanahan thought to himself, my defense isn't really that good, but they were playing pretty good. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, Chris. Like, it's one of those for me where, like, I'm a guy who loves to come on and have a take. Boom, we're going to live with it. This is what we're going with. But, like, I really think the Shanahan situation was like, I can see it either way. I just don't think it's fair to be killing the guy for the overtime situation. Right now, we can talk about a lot of other things that happened in the game. We can talk about the fact that he's been involved in the offensive coordinator game with the Falcons, where that doesn't not a good look for him. That's a huge comeback, right? The first Super Bowl with the 49ers comeback, that's not a good look. This was not a good look. I still believe Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. My question is, before we spin it forward on all of these teams, do we have anything else that we want to talk about on this game? And Williams, I saw your finger up. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it is not a good look because he's blown 3 double-digit leads. But let me remind everybody that he's lost to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes in those 3 games, and he wasn't technically the head coach in Atlanta. His offense did score 28 points. He did get Matt Ryan an MVP that year. You can almost blame Dan Quinn and that defense. That defense was totally gassed. If you think the Niners defense was gassed this last week, good God, go back and watch that 2016 Falcons defense. They had nothing in overtime to put up with Brady.
Well, we're all going to get that chance because apparently we now are blessed with a New England Patriots 10-part documentary called The Dynasty that Apple Plus is rolling out for all of us. So that's going to be just some great viewing. Listen, you guys can count me as rolling out on midnight every night that one of those comes out. I'll be watching every episode intently and taking notes and coming back on this podcast and breaking it down for you because I love nothing more than hearing all about Tom Brady and Bill Belichick beating my Indianapolis Colts.
And one more thing on Wilkes that I want to touch on that Chris started to touch on was the soft zone in overtime.
Yeah.
And it's the 3rd down play where it's like 3rd and 7, like, and Romo's like, this is a huge play. And let me give props to Romo. He had like 4 or 5 unbelievable calls in that game. He had 1 or 2 that was just like head scratching. Like, I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Like if the Chiefs were down 10-0 in the first quarter and he's like, this is 4 down territory, Jim. Like, whoa, so slow down, Tony. But the Steve Wilkes call when it was the soft zone in overtime, 3rd down, and Shanahan ended up calling a timeout there. And I said to myself, holy cow, if you know the Niners at all, Shanahan never calls a timeout for defense. I was like, he's got to be pissed right now that he's trying to beat Mahomes in this zone. And later it comes out. So later, the next play, he comes out and press man. Mahomes is still that good. He still beats it. Whatever. That's the correct coverage, though. But it comes out this last week that Shanahan fired Steve Wilkes, which he said it wasn't the correct fit. But, oh, man, right there was like the writing was on the wall.
Oh, no, you knew that guy was fired. Listen, I love that you pointed out that because I knew it. The minute that happened and Romo was on it, I was like, oh, my God, Shanahan called timeout because he's pissed at Wilkes for losing him this Super Bowl, and Steve Wilkes is not long for this job, and that's exactly what happened. So, listen, I think the Niners might have a chance of being back. The Kansas City, they're definitely going to have a chance to be back. We can spin it forward a little bit, but let's talk about the game as an event, all right? Did you guys catch much of any of the pregame? Jimmy, Williams, Chris, you guys catch any of the pregame? Anything cool in the pregame catch your eye?
I didn't pay much attention to the pregame. We had it on in the background, but I really wasn't paying that much attention, to be fair. And I'm not necessarily proud of this, but I'll be honest with you and the listeners. I was really paying attention to see if Taylor Swift showed up.
Look at you. So did anybody catch the Nate Burleson, Patrick Mahomes interview as part of the pregame? Did anybody see this monstrosity? Oh my God. Listen, I am not a professional journalist. Okay. But I pride myself on trying to do a good job. I honestly think about what I'm saying on this podcast, right? All 3 of us, I think now over these years, we come on and we try to do a good job. We try to have a good take. We try to do a little bit of research. All right. But Nate Burleson essentially asking Patrick Mahomes, what's it like to be really, really great? And then Patrick Mahomes saying, man, I'm not sure that I'm the greatest. And Nate Burleson saying, no, you are the greatest. It's okay. You can tell everybody, like, that's just a ridiculous interview. I understand that no one's
you're
gonna
right, I
sit
am.
down. Yeah, no one's gonna sit down to be grilled, you know what I mean, and look bad before the Super Bowl. But my goodness, what a joke that was. Any thoughts on Post Malone or Reba McEntire? Then, if we have no real pregame thoughts.
I thought both did a very good job. Post Malone I thought did a fantastic job, and then Reba's was good. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It was a good rendition of the national anthem. So kudos to both of them.
Williams, do you have any interesting tidbits on how there was a bit of a controversy about Reba's national anthem? Do you have any little tidbits on that?
I heard that I want to say it was BetMGM paid out both because
It
there was two different Braves, and and then people were like, let's stop it with the second Brave, come on now. But there was one other one that didn't pay out the second Brave. So I don't know, it depends on their sports book. You got to read the fine print when you get into those types of props with the national anthem.
That's why he's our handicapper, folks. But yeah, I believe Reba had one of the shortest over-under times in like the last 7 or 8 years. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know how somebody knew that she was going to burn right through it. And she did, but then she was like, you know what? I'm going to say Brave a second time. So good on you there, Reba. I agree with you, Mr. Williams. You already kind of called it out there. I think Tony Romo did a fabulous job. But I think the actual biggest thing that I took away from this game was, Chris, Jim Nantz is a stone cold professional. I'm not sure you can be in any better hands of a broadcaster than Jim Nantz, right? Joe Buck's really, really good, but man, Jim Nantz, like his call at the end of the game and his call so many times, I'm just like, darn it, Jim Nantz, keep doing this for 10 to 15 more years, my man. Don't walk away, because I think he's as professional.
I mean, that's what you hope for, right? I don't know if we'll get that lucky though, Rod, but he's a man that's been there. He knows how to handle the situation. And he puts that extra, I don't know, je ne sais quoi or whatever, however you want to say it, onto the event that he's going to be broadcasting. It's phenomenal what he does.
Jimmy Jam, Jim Nantz is the only person that can get away with saying jackpot for the final touchdown in the Super Bowl and it not being cheesy, right?
No, it was good. I thought they both did good. As we've talked about Romo, he had a lot of good points in there, especially I know in the first or second quarter when Purdy called a timeout. We was like, no, don't call that. You had one-on-one. You had your guy. I thought that was really good. Listen, he does a good job, and Nantz is one of the GOATs for sure.
All right, Jimmy, we got to stay with you because we established last week that you are our music expert. You are sneaky down there, diving into the old vinyl and the CDs and all of the stuff. So one USHER came out for the halftime show. Your thoughts?
I love the fact that he actually sang. I do. A lot of people were saying he was off key and everything like that. You try doing any of that. Seriously, all kidding aside, he did a terrific job because he sang. And I thought that was real. I thought the Alicia Keys stuff obviously was really cool there as well. Overall, I thought it was a good show. It was really nostalgic. NFL and they really like to go really old school, like random old school. And I thought it worked fine. It wasn't as big as other shows have been, but it did have roller skating, so that was okay.
That's right. The roller skating part was my favorite because I love me some Roll Bounce starring I can't even remember who stars in it, but Roll Bounce is a good flick. You guys should look that one up. Chris, when Ludacris came out with his afro, splendid, and he dropped the Ludacris Phil Cups like double D's, did you pop up off the couch like I did?
I had a little bit of shock and just sitting there in awe of that immaculate sort of silhouette that he set on screen. It was the highlight of the show for me. I'm not that big of an Usher fan, so like I wasn't as into it as I'm sure as you R&B guys were, but seeing Luda out there made me real happy. Looking immaculate.
Williams, did you even realize that was Will.i.am behind that like alien spaceman mask at one point? Did you even know that's who that was?
No, I had no idea. I was like, there's no way he's that short. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we had Will.i.am out there, right? We had Little John, we had Ludacris, we had Alicia Keys, we had her, right? We just trucked everybody out there. Usher took his shirt off, you know what I mean? Like Jimmy said, he was on roller skates. We had a bit of a circus happening on the field before he got up on the stage. You know, there was glitter pants. I mean, like Usher gave you everything that he had, as well as lots and lots of sweat. The fabulous joke that Williams made earlier in the podcast. Williams not necessarily known for his jokes on this podcast, but possibly the best joke
Hey,
of
now.
this entire year was Williams at the end of the year. So my question for you, Mr. Williams, as we say goodbye to you for a couple of weeks is, why did you wait this long to drop great jokes?
Hey, man. Good things come to those who wait, man. One other thing. I gave out Kevin Stefanski 14-1 to win Coach of the Year a few weeks ago. That came through. Did not have the greatest year for futures, but at least that one came out. So, yeah.
Hey,
There's
no
something.
no
There's
holding calls
something.
on the Chiefs. Did you have that for the third
No.
Super Bowl? Did you have that? No holding calls on a
How
team
about-
that got penalized more for any holding in the regular season?
How about that? Bill Vinovich again. That's the second time against the Niners. No holding calls.
Jackson Jamrisk is fired up about it. Chris, we're going
Yeah.
to end Super Bowl talk right here with you because you brought her name up earlier. All right. When she chugged that beer, come on. Was that your ultimate Taylor Swift moment?
I guess it'd be like maybe my second or third
awesome.
Taylor Swift moment, but yeah, like that's what you want to see. Listen,
What
this
are
is
the first and
football.
second, Chris?
This is football. This is America. You're supposed to drink some beer when you watch football. All right, who wasn't drinking beer watching the Super Bowl?
My favorite moment actually was when that first huge pass play was completed by the Chiefs and they cut to Taylor immediately, and Blake Lively, you could see her mouthing, "Shut the fuck up." You could see Blake Lively mouthing that immediately as they cut that play off. And Jimmy, I'm sorry, but that was her quote. All right. I'm sorry.
It's
That was
a
her
quote. It's fine.
Jimmy's not happy with me. Mr. Williams, like I alluded to it there, we
Fine.
will say goodbye to you, a bit of a respite here for a couple of weeks, but we will bring you back and you will dive into possibly something that gets you even more foamed up in a lather than NFL football does, and that is college basketball.
The first 4 days of March Madness, it doesn't get any better. You can't get any better than the first 4 days of March Madness. Love it.
So we will bring you back for that. Something just got in my throat there. I better throw it to the host of the Fast Break while I can still talk. Jimmy Jamrisk on the other side.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. I'm Jimmy Rod and Chris are here. If you are watching, listening, doing whatever, and you want to throw something in the chat, feel free to go right ahead and do so. It is All-Star Weekend in Indy. I've got to work. You guys are going to go to the festivities. I don't know if anyone can actually afford to go to that game, but that's okay. We are going to do something a little different today. We are going to ask some questions that we want answered, if we're going to get answered, should I say, in the second half. But I want to shout out real quick, maybe future Indianapolis native or resident Caitlin Clark broke the all-time NCAA scoring record this evening with just a half-court shot.
In
like
complete style, just nothing but net, like 3 steps over the half court line, just bang. Let's get this over with.
Now, Chris, she does have, okay, there's a lot of things about this all-time scoring record. Obviously, the NCAA she has, but women's basketball in the collegiate level, she's behind one person. But Chris, she's also one of your contemporaries looking over her shoulder right now, Pistol Pete. She's about 13 games away from beating Pistol Pete's record. Now, big caveat. No three-pointer for Pistol Pete, okay? How cool would that be if she's all-time leading, period?
I'm okay with it. I don't.
Thank you.
Listen,
Thanks,
you
Chris.
want me?
You're not fine with it.
Do you want me to care more about Caitlin Clark winning the championship? All right, how about that?
Whoa.
Win the big
Wow.
game. You know.
Sure. And speaking of winning, Wins League, let's go. $2.99 for Jimbo. Still number one. Now, listen, getting a little closer. I didn't get a 50-win jump like I did a couple weeks ago. 265, Chris, not too bad. And Rod, I love you, brother, 253. Those T-Wolves, though, knocking on the door. Can't go wrong, Rod.
Listen, the T-Wolves may come up a little bit later when we get into our questions. That's a tease. But, Jimmy, I'm not very often humbled on this network. I really don't allow myself to be. I named it after myself. I brought all of you guys along to do these shows with me. But with this Wins League, man, I am humbled. I am absolutely humbled. I picked all of these teams. I talked them up. I was the one that had the idea for the Wins League, and I am just getting absolutely trounced. Like, basically, any team that has appeared on Chris's jester level for his hierarchy is on my wins team.
It's not the best, Rod. Not the best. You still have the Detroit Pistons at 8 wins. Chris has the Wizards at 9 wins. My lowest team is the 15-win Trailblazers. However, all 3 of them are the people that we picked for each other, or the teams we picked for each other. So I thought that was pretty good. We're going to go to my first question, and then I think someone's going to get angry, and then we'll go to another question, a couple questions too. But my first question, what do I want to see? Do the Knicks finally have enough to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals? The Knicks did something that the Knicks don't do. They added depth and good players. They didn't go for the big name necessarily. You can argue OG Anunoby a little bit, but he's really felt it, gone in well. I want to know, do the Knicks finally have it, Chris, to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
If they can get and stay healthy
That's it.
and stay in, they really need to fight for that 4 seed. I think they need home court advantage, at least the first round. Then yes, I think they have a legitimate shot, but they have got to get healthy. They need OG back. They do need Randall back, especially for them to go far in the playoffs. Otherwise,
Rod,
I think they're built.
yeah, Rod is a Tibbs coach team though. They're already not doing well. They're already injured a little bit. That worries me. With he likes to play players a little bit.
Well, here's what I'll say to you about Tibbs and the Knicks. All right, and this is an actual quote from the actual coach of the New York Knicks, one Tom Thibodeau. All right, he was asked by a Knicks reporter, Tom, are you happy about the upcoming All-Star break? Tom's response, I'm never happy. There you go. I mean, that just speaks to Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks, right? That's kind of, he's always grinding. He's always got to win the next minute, the next game, the road trip, the homestand, you know what I mean? And like injuries and Tibbs grinding, I just don't like those two factors. Now, them playing at MSG in that insane New York crowd, that will give them some juice, right? Their absolute toughness and their I'd much rather just punch you in the face, you know what I mean, type about them. That will help them in the playoffs. We saw what it did to the Cavs last year. But if I'm going to answer your question, Jimmy, I would say no, the Knicks still don't have enough to get over the hump.
I think they need that one more piece. They're so close, and I'm really happy with what they're doing. But speaking of people, Rod, who aren't very happy all the time,
we have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions,
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie.
Rod is so angry. He pulled a Jimmy. He pulled a Jimmy.
I
There
get
you
myself on mute because like I'm doing throat clearing exercises over here, right? I'm taking a drink, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be professional and then I end up being unprofessional because I don't take myself off of mute. All right. I had 2 ways I was going to go this week, all right? One way where I was kind of going to go at my guy Chris and I was going to say something that I sort of believe about but don't really 100% believe about. And then the other one, like I kind of agree with the guy, but I still think it's something that deserves to be in Rod Nation. So that's ultimately where I landed. Rod Nation this week is for Kyle Kuzma. All right, Kyle Kuzma, buddy. Hello, Kyle, come in here and listen to me, bud. All right. I understand what you're saying about going to the Dallas Mavericks and being the third, maybe even fourth option, right? And being the first guy who will be blamed for anything because Luka Doncic gets whatever he wants all the time, every day, and twice on Sundays for the Dallas Mavericks and will for the foreseeable future. I understand that. But you're on the Washington Wizards, dude. Okay. You're going to get the same amount of money on your paycheck every other Friday, whether you play for the Wizards or the Mavericks. And aren't we in this thing to play games that matter? The Wizards ain't playing a game that matters for a long time. The Mavericks are probably going to be in the playoffs and are going to have just as good a chance as anybody else out in the West because it's so wide open out there. So why not go play in some games that matter? You already know what it's like to win a championship, Kyle Kuzma. You just kind of come off as a dude that would much rather strut down the runway in pregame, wearing his outfits, not have anybody hold him responsible for stuff, put up his faceless stats, best guy on a bad team, and continue playing out your contract, which is fine. We'd all love it, but it doesn't make you look like a great basketball player competitor. So, Kyle Kuzma, you are in Rod Nation this week, but not with as much vitriol as most people, but I think you do deserve it.
Hey, Rod, he would get more in Dallas because there's no state income tax in Dallas. So there's also that to consider.
Such a good point by you. That's why you're an ace producer.
Chris, he already had the LeBron James superstar teammate that took him to a championship. Why wouldn't you want the same thing with Luka?
I mean, maybe he doesn't care. All right, let's be real. maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't have the love for basketball and winning that we want to see in our players. I mean, there's a lot of NBA players. Not everybody that's on that court who happens to be that talented is going to absolutely love the game.
Sure.
He maybe has a cush position where he's not getting blamed for anything. He's still getting a big old bag, and maybe that's all he wants.
Okay. It could be.
I'm not saying that's the right way to take it, but
That's fine.
maybe that's
Yeah.
how he is.
He can. And that's why it was like the raw damnation, but just wanted to get it out there, damnation. Chris, let's talk to you. What is your question for the rest of the season?
Well, I'm going to be a homer for this first question, and when can my Pacers start to learn how to play at least a little bit of defense? All right, just a little bit. Maybe allow 117 points per game instead of
That's crazy.
125. Can we do that? Just allow 117 instead of 125. I mean, we'll still be like one of the worst in the league, but just a little bit better.
So that's probably a 2024, 2025 answer, honestly, because they have the pieces in place, obviously, that they have a good foundation right now. They do need to bring in one or two people who actually play defense, and that's not going to happen.
Do you think we
now,
could
That's
have
also a
gone
ridiculous
after-
question. Only people that live in Hamilton County care about that question. No one else in all of the rest of the United States gives a crap about that question. That's a terrible question, Chris.
Well, like
He doesn't live in Hamilton.
First off, I'm sure just as many people were enthralled of the South Bend versus Mishawaka location that you guys got into in Balls and Brew.
Whoa!
But
Whoa!
Pacers are a legitimate team in the East, and they would be that much better. I think they made the right moves during the trade line. I do think we could have maybe done something to get somebody like a Kelly Olynyk to maybe solidify our middle interior defense a
You
little
don't
bit
give up
more.
a first-round pick for that, though, do you? I think they had to give up a first-round pick for
Is
him.
Kelly Olynyk
maybe.
better than Kelly Olynyk? Is he better than Kelly
No.
Olynyk? I'm
No,
not sure
no.
about Kelly Olynyk. I don't know his game.
I mean, I think they're similar, just like Tom and Nick Mysterio.
Okay. Shout out to Yeah We Know Podcast. Rod, I can't wait. I know you've got 3 or 4 burning questions, but we need your one question that you want answered by the end of the season.
All right, I'm going to blow your guys' mind with this one, all right? Because I think you guys think maybe I'd be wearing green for my question, and I certainly have a green question down here, all right? But my question is one that I think should intrigue everyone across NBA fandom, all right? And that question is Victor Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren for Rookie of the Year, okay? We're seeing historic stuff out of both of these guys. The Spurs are absolute trash, okay? They're on my wins team. I know they're absolute can't do anything about that, okay? But Victor's putting up stats that we haven't seen since the likes of Moses Malone, Tim Duncan, Shaq, okay? These are the kind of stats that Victor's putting up. He's put up 150 threes, 150 assists, averaging 20 points a game. Like nobody's ever done that with the amount of blocks that he also then has, right? And then you go to Chet Holmgren. No rookie has ever been this affecting of winning, okay? The only difference between this Oklahoma City team last year and this year is Chet Holmgren. Sure, all the other guys have gotten better because they're a young team that continues to be on the rise, but they plugged in this rookie at center and they are leading the Western Conference. We've never seen a rookie be this big of a difference. So we're going to come down to a historic solo talent, unlike we've ever seen in Victor Wembanyama, versus another guy who kind of is a historic talent like we've never seen, like Chet Holmgren, but also may be playing in the Western Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals. This is an NBA Rookie of the Year race we've never seen, Jimmy. That's a question that really has me intrigued.
And I don't know how I feel about it because I do see both ways. Wembanyama is just on a streak right now like no other. At the beginning of the season, he couldn't hit anything. He couldn't shoot for anything. He's doing better now. I know that Brian Windhurst and the boys brought this up where it's never really mattered who wins in Rookie of the Year because they're usually on bad teams. I think this might be a year where it does, Chris. I think our boy Chet might get it.
Well, okay, so I know I'm biased and I want Chet to win because I called for him to win at the beginning of the season, and I'm petty like that. But I'm going to give 2 negative type things to say about each player. One negative thing about each player, all right? When it comes to Chet, we'll start there, all right? Here is a guy that is playing with side by side with a potential MVP. Well, he's a potential MVP candidate in SGA, all right? We can't overlook that. I mean,
Probably
Oklahoma
the,
City
probably the
is
leader,
great.
not named Jokic, basically. I mean, not just a guy in the running, like the leader if it's not Jokic.
He's number 2 in the poll. Yeah.
So that has a big reason as well as why OKC happens to be winning. This was a winning team last year, all right? The Spurs were losing last year just like they are this year. Now Victor is a guy who's 7'4", right? I'm sorry, I may be a little bit biased, but if you are 7'4" and can't block shots or lead the NBA in shot blocking,
Oh, come on.
then I would have more questions than if you were. It's still historical what both of them are doing, but like those are two things that would maybe sway voters one way or the other if they weren't concerned about winning.
Yeah, there's a bunch of 7-footers who don't do what Victor does in addition to the blocking the shots. I see what you're saying there, Chris. It's going to be a fascinating final stretch here for sure, Rod.
Yeah, I got one more quick one here, Jimmy, and this one is more Eastern Conference related, right? My other question that I'm really intrigued with is, does Doc exercise the playoff demons with Milwaukee, right? Because the only reason he was brought in is to turn this team around and win a championship, and they felt that they were not going in the right direction with Adrian Griffin, the guy who they just signed to a 4-year contract at the beginning of this year. So Doc has a checkered playoff resume, and Milwaukee still gave him a huge bag and brought him in the middle of the year, Jimmy. So I think that's another question that I'll really be watching to see if when playoff time comes, does Doc have this Bucks team working like a well-oiled machine again, who seems like a contender for the championship?
We also have the Gallinari factor. They signed him, so he's coming in. He hasn't played basically in 2 years, but that's okay. He'll be fine. It's going to take the Doc, though. As you can see, it's taken Doc a while to get back in the swing of things with that, Chris. And I don't know if they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't. Right now, it definitely doesn't look like they're going to do it. All right, let's be fair. All right, have they won at the same percentage rate, even close, that they were before Doc was the coach? No, they haven't. They're losing more games than they're winning. All right.
Their schedule the second half of the year, too, is the toughest in the NBA, so that's not looking great for them either.
But you know what is great? The Kings, hardwood, higher.
Well, Rod wants me to do something this week, just so he can see his favorite team be crowned. So let's do it. Let's do the first. I mean, it's All-Star weekend. Let's do the first half hierarchy. All right, we can agree to that. All right, and it's the Celtics. All right, they're the king. All right, they have the best record in the league. They have for most of the year. They've been king on the hierarchy for most of the year anyway. 3 losses at home. I know they came recently, but that's still something that you rarely ever see. We haven't seen a home record like that at the All-Star break since Golden State Warriors.
Only 9 losses on the road as well so far. So, I mean, they're not even losing a lot of games anywhere. So don't just point out the home record. They're just not losing, period. They only have 12 losses. Okay. That's
Good
just
job, Chris.
All right. And then this is right. All right. The Timberwolves. They're the queen.
Good. Awesome.
They've been strong all year. They have surpassed most expectations, I think, already this year. They're playing real well. Top notch defense, which they need in the West if they want to compete into the Western Conference Finals and beyond. And for the Prince, I'm sorry, but I want to stick in the West, and it's the Thunder. We talked about them already. They got an MVP candidate on their team. They are essentially half a game back in the Western Conference standings right now, third best record in the league. These are the 3 best teams right now for the first half of the season in the NBA.
Let me ask you this then. You say the Thunder are the third, the Prince, they're the best team that you mentioned out in the West other than the Timberwolves. Do you think one of those 2 teams is actually going to win the West? Because that was another question I had written down here. Are the young teams in the West actually for real? Because you look at the top of the Western standings right now, it's Oklahoma City and Minnesota. And
So,
I
Rod-
don't know
So
that a
Rod-
lot of us would have predicted them winning the championship at the beginning of the year.
No, I don't think so either. And I'm going to tell you, like, if I was going to do just a weekly hierarchy like I normally do, this would have been almost the same, except I would have had the Clippers right there at the Prince spot instead of OKC. If the Clippers weren't playing as well as they are right now, I might be willing to say I could see the Timberwolves or the Thunder in the finals because the rest of the West isn't playing quite up to their standard as consistently as they are. All
Jimmy
right.
Jam, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm hijacking the hierarchy here, but are we to believe in experience in the playoffs? Okay, we're seeing little signs of life out of Phoenix, LA, Golden State. Okay, the three teams in the West that are peppered with all the experience and all of the top players. Where do you stand on this? Do you still like the young guns, or do you think the experience is going to matter in the end?
Experience is going to matter in the end. You saw the T-Wolves even last year get do okay in the playoffs, but they had a little bumps in the road. Is this the year they make the next step, or do they need a little bit more? OKC, I don't see them going too far. I really don't. It is that experience that matters. You've seen it time and again. I mean, really, ever since the OKC did it the first time around is the last time really we saw a team that young get that far.
Even that team that made it to the finals lost in the conference finals the year before and then lost earlier in the playoffs the year before that, right? So it was even still a
that's
3-year
valid.
run that got them to that.
Yeah, that's valid. Chris, we have so many people to choose from. So many for the what is it? The Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spur, Memorial, whatever. Who's the
Okay.
jester?
Don't leave the Wizards out.
Wizard Jesters. Yes.
And there you have it. All right.
Wizard
We're just
Jesters.
going to give it to the Wizards. All right.
Oh, all right.
I mean, and we'll say this. We could have a court of jesters for this right now. I mean, we already know the Pistons and Spurs are that bad.
But
and now we have the
the
Wizards
Spurs have
and
Wembanyama and the
That's true.
Pistons have Cade Cunningham. The Wizards have absolutely nothing, right? The Wizards have absolutely nothing. Their two cornerstone players right now are Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. Good luck with that.
Yeah, and then you have Charlotte. All right. You getting excited about Brandon Miller every night?
I think you might be. And LaMelo Ball. Both of those guys still better than anything Washington has. That's why I think Washington actually has a vote here to maybe be the sole jester because
Okay.
they are just going nowhere.
When can we start relying on Ball to play
Never.
consistently? All
That's
right.
valid.
I listen. I live down there, and people love it when he plays because he is phenomenal. He is great entertainment as well as a good basketball player. But there comes a point where if you can't count on him to be consistently involved in the on court presentation of your team, then what good is he?
What good is he? What a great way to end. I love it. And with that, you've been listening to Fast Break on the Morgan Podcast Network. Balls and Brew was a fun time today. Rod and Chris really appreciate everything you do here on the network. And we will see you next week for the Yeah We Know podcast.
Yeah, we will also be back next week for Balls and Brew. Balls and Brew will be basically just Fast Break. We will leave the door open for our guy Williams to pop on anytime that he has some sort of gambling related thing to give to us, but we will basically just be focusing on basketball here as we round towards the Larry O'Brien trophy being dropped off in some new area code. And next week, MVP table coming back. I know people are excited for that.
Goodbye, Internet.